welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of Birdie Presents Push Little Daisies from Stafford Woods in Voorhees, New Jersey. This tournament and coverage is presented by Birdie Disc Golf Supply Company. Birdie and HyzerMedia are doing a collaborative disc giveaway. More information on that will be at the end of the video. I'd like to also thank our Patreon family for supporting this coverage. I'm Dave Oster. Today we have an exciting card starting off with Nate Renshaw, a common player on our coverage, Jason Tiligadas, the tournament director of today's tournament, Bill DiBiase, and joining us from Florida is Brandon Koppenjan. We'll get started on hole 1. It's a par 3, 309 feet. Off the gap, there's a wide line to the right, trying to skip around back towards the basket, or this super straight line through all these small gaps that I'm sure some of these players are going to try to take. So starting us off will be Nate Renshaw. A little high, needs to keep straight. It's fading out a little early, but he's up there. Looks like he might have a bit of a gap to try to get a long putt in. Now Jason Tiligadas taking the same line, a little bit of a hyzer flip lower. Ends up a little bit more towards the center of the fairway, but still left side. We'll see what he has once we get up there. And Bill coming out a little early. Looked like he might have been trying to flip that up more. He'll have probably something interesting on that left side to try to get up and down to save his par. And Brandon narrowly missing a few trees and getting a big skip past the basket. He'll have a 22 foot putt for his birdie to start off this tournament. So this is what Bill's left with, and it doesn't look great. Oh, he was going for a very tight gap and narrowly missed it. Finally able to get some airspace, and he should be able to clean up his unfortunate bogey from there. And Nate had a decent chance for a bid there. Maybe just laying it up. Doesn't want to repeat what he just saw Bill have to do. And Jason just not quite enough. Maybe he didn't have a great stance, get enough power on it, but he's on the green. Should be an easy par tap in. And a great putt by Brandon to start off this tournament with a birdie. Bill to save his bogey here. And he does. Unfortunate start, but he stopped the bleeding, made a putt. Obviously still a whole lot of golf left, an entire tournament to make up for that, so. Nate and Jay will be tapping in their pars here. And we're going to move on to hole 2. Worth noting that this tournament is playing odd holes are the long tees here at Stafford, and the even holes are the short tees. So here we see from the short tee for hole 2, it's still a par 4 at only 355 feet. So forehand or backhand turnover getting to this point and then making a hard right. Certainly a potential for an eagle on this hole. And we'll see how that mixing back and forth between the shorts and the longs on this tournament will play out on some of these holes moving forward. And just that last tree that Brandon needed to miss, that skip was going to go pretty far forward towards the basket if it had continued. Nate with a little bit more height. I think he got caught up on something and kicked kind of to the left side of the fairway, right around where your discs are starting to turn. Jay going to the backhand turnover, and it kind of fades out on him. He's going to be over near where I believe Nate ended up. Bill giving a lot more height, and it is moving to the right, perfectly in line. That's the shot that these guys are looking to get. Maybe circle two's edge. He's going to have an eagle look to perhaps get that stroke back and more from the first hole. And Nate left with nothing but a high forehand flex shot. Oh, I think it caught something and kicked away from the basket. That was looking great. That was going to be right under the basket. And not in the best position, so Jay did a pretty good job. What's good about this short par 4 is these guys are kind of out of position, but they're able to get back into position to still save their birdie. Oh, and Brandon giving it a great bid. He was actually closer than it seemed from that first shot. He also had an eagle bid. Oh, and Bill just wide. But again, even with that, they're in the circle to get their birdies still. And Nate just right side. Oh, and low for Brandon. After being inside 100 feet after one throw, he's going to wind up with a par. And this is Bill for birdie. And he cashes it. So cancels out the bogey on the first hole, and he's back to even. Par for Nate. Jay coming over to tap in his birdie, I believe. Yeah. So a couple eagle bids in this hole. Wind up with a couple of birdies, a couple of pars. Move on to our first water carry hole. Hole 3, par 3, 313 feet from the long tee. Unless you hit this hillside or any of these trees, the water is not really an issue in terms of distance to carry, but certainly comes into play. And going into the blue basket of these two stacked baskets. So the entire round we're also throwing into the blue baskets on the entire layout. Hits the gap, needs to find the basket. It goes under the log, but within 15, 18 feet, so he should be fine. A little tighter inside, but Bill clears it. And maybe 20, 25 feet, he's at the opposite end of that fallen log. Brandon a little higher. Oh, and hits right off the log. Skips and rolls around. That should be a tap-in birdie. He also has the height that elevated basket will not be an issue at all for him. Nate going real high. Oh, scaring that top basket. Unfortunately, that's the price you pay for going at the basket on a hole like this. So you're going to go long and have a 30 to 40 footer coming back. Floaty enough bid that didn't go too far. He should have a easy par save from there. Oh, and you can hear the wind and see it take Bill's disc well over the basket. So Nate to save his par. Oh. Right side chains. Not able to cash it in. And Bill was able to save his par from there. A good putt by him after going past the basket for his birdie. And Jay for his birdie attempt now. And another one, just right side. I don't want to say it's because of this, but we can see the wind behind them. There's the open field just to the right of the basket where we're looking. And the wind was coming off of that very steady all day. Good birdie by Brandon. Great shot to get him there. Some of these guys will tap in. 2 pars, birdie, and unfortunate bogey by Nate. But we will move over to hole 4. Par 4, still from the short tee pad we just saw on the right side of the shot. 439 feet. So for some of these guys, the green will definitely be accessible. Pretty much a straight shot or a hyzer shot to just finish left side of this fairway and try to miss these couple trees to get onto the green and give yourself a shot. Another opportunity for a potential eagle for these guys. Brandon throwing pretty much pure hyzer all the way there. Oh, and gets a great roll going straight towards the basket. Rolls just outside of that tree, being in his line of putting. That should be close enough that he can run it from there. A little early by Bill, a little low. Again, the short par 4s allow the opportunity to, even with a bad tee shot, save your birdie because of obviously the short distance and your 4 strokes to get there. So Jay not bombing it out, but throwing a perfectly good shot right in the middle of the fairway. Not playing for the eagle. Maybe saw Bill come out a little early and decided to play a little bit of the safer play. And this is a bit higher from Nate. Oh, and on the green. All right, so there's that sunken hole on that left side where you obviously want to avoid. I thought that Nate's shot was going in there, but just had enough forward momentum to skip past it. And he's even further than Brandon. I'm not sure where that shot went. A little bit left side and early. That might be similar to Nate's, or maybe right on the edge of that hole I was just speaking of. And this is pretty high for Jason. Oh, but played perfectly. That wind pushed it down, and he looked like he expected that, and that landed right by the basket. So good up for Bill, a little bit further than you would like to try to run that. So he kind of just lays up. Good smart play, still early. And Brandon, that was his eagle bid, and this is Nate's inside circle too, maybe 38, 40 feet. Oh, and he hits the cage. That would have been a great eagle shot for him. But, like I said, par 4s, these short, that'll still be a tap-in birdie, which he cannot complain about. And this hole was coming in as the second easiest, only behind hole 2, surprisingly, although this card played this hole much better at 0.75 strokes under par. So, exciting layout, to say the least, especially for these guys at the top. Can definitely get some low scores out here. But moving on to the long tee pad, or the normal tee pad for hole 5, par 4, 611 feet, out of bounds on both sides and long all the way up to the green. So I'm sure we'll see a little bit different result on this hole. We see a visit from one of our friendly woodland creatures on the left side of this drone shot, These players are trying to land as close to this tree line as they can. Depending on the wind, they might not be able to reach all the way there in the first shot. Primarily, they're trying to get it out of bounds. Keep it from going out of bounds, excuse me. The slope right to left makes it very difficult for backhand shots to slow down in time, to not go out of bounds on the left side. So here we see Brandon throwing a bomb forehand, giant flex shot to counter that right to left slope, and does a great job. And here's the backhand play. And see how wide Jason had to take that for it to come spiking down and still almost skipping out of bounds left. The wind also was not in their favor with the right to left, a little bit of a head right to left today. Just not ideal wind for this. And we see here Nate didn't flex it out as much as Brandon did, kind of threw a flat shot, and the wind seemed to not let it come back, and he'll be out of bounds fairly short down the fairway. Bill taking it as wide, if not a little bit wider, but lower than Jay. Needs to sit. Oh, and that just shows what a very common result is on this hole. So he did get the full distance of his shot, so he'll be further up than Nate. And he'll still have some work to do. That was his third shot. He'll have a very long bid if he decides to go for it to save his par. Jay playing it pretty safe, not trying to test those trees. Knows he can just maybe give it a bid, maybe just lay up for his par and move on, knowing how difficult this hole is. Bill quite a bit closer, gets it just inside the tree line. He'll have a very clear look at the basket from there. And this is how far Brandon got up. He'll have a look to approach the green on this one. Needs to skip, needs to stay in. Those white stakes are out of bounds back there as well. I believe he just barely stayed in. And you can't quite see it, but and a great bid by Nate. But Brandon's shot seemed to be pushed left because of the wind coming off of this field behind us here. Good approach shot by Jay, and this is Bill for his par save. Gives it a bid, and yeah, that wind wasn't letting. As soon as the bottom of the disc was shown to the right side, you could just see it was getting blown away. Even the chains are blowing. That's how windy it is at this point in the round. Brandon probably expecting a bit of a wind lift and didn't get it. And maybe same thing for Bill. That's going to be an unfortunate double for Bill at that point. And honestly, after going out of bounds that soon in his tee shot, just a bogey is not a bad result for this hole. Very windy conditions, like I was saying. Good par by Jay, played it safe, saw what was happening to the rest of these guys, and just decided to play it for par, and it worked out. Hole 6 from the shortest of the 3 tees on this hole, but still a par 4, 468 feet, so definitely reachable in 2 shots, but the difficult part, of course, is this built up, elevated green, and the short out of bounds behind. So even if a great shot gets to the bottom of this pyramid, running a putt from the bottom of it can be dangerous if you miss. A lot of these players, I think, are trying to get to the tree line or just short of it to set themselves up for a second shot. And Brandon turning this over just a bit. Oh, but it's coming back. Kisses off the tree and gets halfway between the tree line and the pyramid. That is a great shot. Easily all of 400 feet. Jay throwing a similar line, but maybe more stable disc. Fades out, and that's a good landing spot. It's definitely more open. We saw the drone flew to the left side. I think that's where, if these players are just trying to throw up to the tree line, pitch up, and then try to tap in a birdie, that's a perfect play by Jay. Nate also turning this over, but it's coming back. Oh, and catches the last tree, and that was out of bounds. Those stakes were right there, and just barely out of bounds. Bill not trying to play with any flex, just throws pure hyzer, although over the out of bounds, trusting it to come back. I'm sure that was a fairly stable disc. And probably a very helpful tree. Bill rolling that over, and that was going well towards that out of bounds line on the left side. And a nice upshot by Jay. That's not an easy place to get a disc to stay still, obviously on the wood planks there. Yeah, that's a much more typical result. Hitting those planks of wood and kicking backwards. So Jay able to stay up there was pretty good. Pretty good shot. And Brandon just staying up on top. As we said, that's the risk from his long drive if he wants to run it. Oh, off the top of the cage for Nate. But if Brandon wants to run it, that's obviously the risk, like I was saying earlier. Oh, and just missing. And I have to say that the top of this structure was probably the windiest point of the entire course because of the elevation compared to the surrounding land and the openness of this field that we're looking at right here.
The wind started ripping, dude.
I know, dude. You could hear it coming.
That shit started ripping.
They're like, oh, here it comes.
Good birdie by Brandon. You can hear him commenting on the wind. Even that short 10, 12 footer, not the easiest thing to do. And you see Bill taking his extra time for his even shorter putt just to make sure no silly mistakes were had. So hole 6 playing significantly harder than some of these other par 4s, even from the short position. But we move on to hole 7, par 3, 300 feet from the long tee. The second water carry hole. This one probably more of a threat of the water. Having to hit a gap maybe 100, 120 feet off the tee and then water carry. And then there's a lot of things, built up wall, trees, and a hill that these players' discs can hit and come back into the water, which is probably the most common reason that a disc would go into the water. The distance, again, really isn't an issue for these guys, but the kickbacks are going to be the issues mostly. And Jay taking a very narrow gap, going right side, hits the hill. I'm pretty sure that stayed up there. Brandon also just short of that built-up wall in front of the basket. He should have a look at his birdie. And oh, Nate getting caught up in those trees. Took it a little bit too tight forehand. Maybe expecting the wind to straighten that out, but it just went pure hyzer. And a great shot by Bill. That's exactly what you're looking for. If you can get up onto that next tier, that's a absurdly good shot. But that's a very typical good shot that Bill just had. And fortunate tree kick by Nate to stay in there. And a great birdie putt by Jay through that ripping wind. And this is Bill for his birdie. Oh, that needs to sit. Okay. Just a little low. Left-right tail, probably pushed that down, plus it was an elevated putt being 2 tiers down. And now Nate has pretty much the identical putt. Let's see if he can make the correction. Taking his time, really lining up. Oh, and he gets the height, but just right side. So Brandon just short of that wall, but definitely tall enough that he'll have no obstruction from the wall or from the wind, and he cashes that in birdie. So great start, 5 down through 7 holes. And Jay just 1 stroke behind him, so we have ourselves a battle. Nate after the out of bounds with the unfortunate double, Bill with a single. And we move over to the short tee pad of hole 8, par 3, 244 feet. Straight shot. There is a short pin on that log that we're sticking up. That is actually a bit of an obstruction on this course. We're not seeing it in this drone shot because it wasn't taking around this time of year. But where these players are playing, they're trying to go just past that basket, either inside or outside. And the slope actually goes down, so they're trying to hit the ground and slide up to the green. Brandon taking the inside route. Looks like he caught something, maybe the last tree to miss in that line. But he'll have 60, 70 feet left. Jay showing us the outside line. You got to keep it low. Oh, and just catching the base of that tree, kicking out. The lines are there, but definitely a lot of things to hit in between. So Bill narrowly misses that skinny tree, turns it over, and finds some room, winds up on 9's fairway. We'll see how it looks from there, trying to get back to the basket. He's actually past pin high. So no one really near the green yet. Let's see if Nate can show us a good clean line. And he makes it into the other basket. That is not the correct basket, folks. That is the short basket that these players are not playing. Stafford Woods has been notorious for these black aces. We just saw another one. That was a rare thing to see on camera. And here we see it. All he does is mark straight below it. No penalty stroke. But a highlight nonetheless. But as far as his round, he's not in a terrible spot. It's essentially, it plays like a tree or a bush or anything. It just stopped his disc. Doesn't affect the scoring at all. And decent upshot. So he'll wind up with a par, even though it'll be the second basket in one hole that he's thrown a disc into. So Bill finding a little bit of a gap from the other fairway, and he'll have a pretty easy par putt. Jay also able to just pitch up for his par. And Brandon, after a bit more of a skip than he expected from his upshot, has this left for his par. And cashes it through that little V tree. That was a great shot. that will definitely make the highlight reel, as well as Nate's unfortunate black ace. And the highlight reel is posted to our Patreon of every tournament that we cover before coverage comes out. So if you want to check that out, you can go over to patreon.com/HyzerMedia. We also have monthly disc giveaways and other bonus content if you'd like to check that out, or just simply support us for as little as $2 a month. So we appreciate everybody who is supporting us and anybody who would like to in the future. So these guys all tap out and move on to hole 9, last hole for this front 9 video, par 3, 301 feet, pinging from the long tee as it's an odd numbered hole. There is the wide line or the tight line. The drone kind of went from one to the other, and these players are definitely able to get there, but both are very tight and maybe not the most natural flight of a disc to shape, but we'll see how they're able to accomplish it or not, as we see Brandon not able to turn it over and catching that first tree that you're trying to miss as you get your disc to start turning. And that's more like it. You need to get it to turn. And Jay catching a very late tree, but got most of the distance out of his shot. That might have skipped up a little bit further, but that's pretty much about how far he was going to go anyway. And Bill taking the inside line. Needs to be obviously much tighter. He turns it over a little bit. It gets to the ground a little bit soon. But he definitely hit the gap that he was aiming for, so he'll be up there, maybe a long bit at it. Oh, and Nate going very high. Kicks and goes right side. Oh, wow. So he's so far right. He's actually on hole 1's fairway, and this does not look very clean. I don't know what line he's going for. Oh! He does it again. That has to be a 200+ foot throw in for birdie, and the right basket this time. So Nate has now made it into 3 baskets in 2 holes and in 5 throws. He just doesn't care. He's throwing it in whatever basket he wants, and he's under par in the last 2 holes. So that was an amazing throw in. Probably the farthest that we've caught on camera on this channel. So great shot by Nate. Not the normal way to get a birdie, but that'll work. So Brandon catches a tree on his upshot, and he's left for this for his par. Yeah, decent bid, just a little high, fades out a little early. And this was Bill's drive, so best out of the group, although... Oh! And almost rings up the birdie as well. I was going to say, even if he makes this, it's going to be overshadowed by Nate's throw. But being that close, that was still a great attempt by Bill. Good putt by Brandon just to save the unfortunate bogey. First bogey of his round, I believe. And Jay slow and steady. So quite a few highlights, exciting front 9. There'll be sure to be more exciting golf played on the back 9, which we'll be heading over to. I mentioned at the beginning that we're doing a collaborative disc giveaway between Birdie and HyzerMedia. All you have to do is subscribe to HyzerMedia and comment "done" down below on this video. So thank you for watching. Again, subscribe down below, comment "done" for a Birdie disc giveaway. Thanks for watching the front 9. We'll see you in the back 9.